Behind Andy Williams's velvet voice and wholesome television image was a family life that mixed glamour, scandal, heartbreak, and quiet resilience. While millions adored him as the singer of Moon River, his wife and 3 children lived very different stories, some public, some private, and one marked by tragedy. This is what happened to Andy Williams' wife and children. 1. Claudine Longet, the glamorous but scandal-scarred wife. Claudine Georgette Longet, born in Paris in 1942, became one of the most glamorous figures in American pop culture during the 1960s. A dancer, singer, and actress, she met Andy Williams in a way that felt almost cinematic. In 1960, while driving in Las Vegas, her car broke down. Andy, already a rising star in the music world, stopped to help. That chance encounter led to romance, and within a year, they were married. To the public, they looked like a perfect couple. Andy with his all-American charm and Claudine with her chic French elegance. Their marriage was high profile. Claudine frequently appeared on Andy's television specials, and she launched her own career as a recording artist. Her breathy, delicate voice made her a popular figure in the soft pop genre of the 1960s and 70s. She released several albums, many of which climbed the charts, and her music was especially popular in Japan and Europe. At the same time, she acted in television programs such as The Andy Williams Show, McHale's Navy, and Hogan's Heroes, solidifying her status as both a singer and entertainer. The couple lived in Beverly Hills and Aspen, raising 3 children, Noel, Christian, and Bobby, amidst wealth and constant media attention. But behind the glamour, cracks began to appear. By the early 1970s, Andy and Claudine's marriage had grown strained. Their busy careers and the pressures of fame eventually drove them apart, and they divorced in 1975 after 14 years together. Yet unlike many celebrity splits, theirs was not bitter. They remained close friends, and Andy often spoke warmly of Claudine even after their separation. Then, in 1976, Claudine's life took a shocking turn. While living in Aspen, she was in a relationship with Olympic skier Spider Sabich. On March 21st of that year, Sabich was fatally shot in her home. Claudine claimed the gun discharged accidentally while he was showing her how it worked. The trial became a media sensation. Ultimately, she was convicted not of murder but of negligent homicide. The sentence was light, just 30 days in jail and 2 years of probation. Many believed she had received preferential treatment, and the scandal damaged her reputation permanently. Through it all, Andy stood by her side. Though divorced, he accompanied her to court and defended her character, saying she was the mother of his children and deserved compassion. That loyalty, even in scandal, defined their unique bond. After the trial, Claudine faded from public life. She continued to live in Aspen, later remarried, and has avoided interviews for decades. Today, she is a reclusive figure, remembered not only as Andy Williams's glamorous wife and singer in her own right, but also as the woman at the center of one of the most infamous celebrity scandals of the 1970s. 2. Noel Williams, the eldest daughter. Noel Williams, the first child of Andy Williams and Claudine Longet, was born in 1963 into a world of music, glamour, and fame. Growing up in Beverly Hills, she lived in the kind of spotlight most children never experience. Her father was one of America's most beloved entertainers, hosting a hit television variety show and singing to millions, while her mother was a French beauty pursuing her own career in music and television. For Noel, childhood meant being surrounded by celebrity culture, but it also meant learning early on how heavy the weight of a famous family name could be. As she entered adulthood in the 1980s, Noel briefly stepped into the limelight herself. Blessed with striking looks and the kind of presence that cameras love, she worked as a model. She appeared in fashion spreads and dabbled in acting opportunities, enjoying some of the glamour that came naturally with her background. Yet unlike her father, who thrived on performance, or her mother, who had once embraced fame, Noel seemed uneasy with the spotlight. She never pursued modeling or acting as a long-term career. For her, those experiences were chapters rather than lifelong ambitions. Instead, Noel sought something that her parents, with their turbulent marriage and constant headlines, often struggled to maintain: stability. She married stuntman and actor Kay Johnson, building a family life away from Hollywood's chaos. The couple raised 4 children, and while Noel kept her distance from interviews and celebrity events, her children occasionally brought the family name back into the arts. Her son, Logan Johnson, became a musician, showing that Andy's musical legacy still resonated in the next generation. Noel's choice to step out of the public eye was deliberate. Unlike many children of celebrities who either chase fame or rebel dramatically against it, she chose a quieter middle ground. She focused on raising her children, managing her household, and building a private life. Friends and family describe her as warm and protective, someone who valued her children's well-being over the allure of cameras and red carpets. Today, Noel Williams lives far from the celebrity glare that once defined her early life. She rarely appears in the press and has succeeded in keeping her family life private. In a way, her story is the opposite of her parents. While Andy and Claudine lived out their lives in full view of the public, whether through music, television, or scandal, Noel's life has been one of intentional retreat. 3. Christian Williams, the reserved son. Christian J. Williams, born in 1965, was Andy Williams and Claudine Longet's second child. Unlike his famous father and glamorous mother, Christian lived a life almost entirely out of the spotlight. From the start, he seemed different, quiet, introspective, and uninterested in the trappings of celebrity culture. While his older sister Noel dabbled in modeling and their youngest brother Bobby pursued a love of outdoor life, Christian charted his own path far away from Hollywood and the expectations that came with being a Williams. Growing up in Beverly Hills during the 1960s and 70s, Christian saw firsthand the pressures of fame. His father's booming career meant constant travel, television appearances, and concerts. His mother, meanwhile, drew headlines of her own, first for her music career and later for the high-profile scandal that followed her relationship with Olympic skier Spider Savage. For Christian, the chaos of his parents' world was a reason to seek simplicity. Even as a young man, he distanced himself from the entertainment industry and preferred a quieter existence. After finishing his education, Christian eventually settled in Costa Rica, where he built a life far removed from celebrity circles. There, he ran a teak tree farm, investing his energy in sustainable agriculture. Friends and acquaintances described him as thoughtful, independent, and content with a slower pace of life. For Christian, fulfillment didn't come from applause or headlines. It came from working with the land, from nature, and from independence. His choice reflected a conscious rejection of the fame he could have pursued, a decision that gave him peace but also kept him hidden from the public eye. Throughout his life, Christian stayed largely disconnected from Hollywood. He rarely appeared at public events, gave no interviews, and made no effort to trade on his family name. While his siblings occasionally surfaced in the media, Christian remained almost entirely invisible, a man who valued his privacy above all else. Tragically, Christian's story came to an early end in 2019 when he died at the age of 54. News of his death came as a shock, partly because so little was known about his later life. The cause was not widely publicized, consistent with his lifelong preference for privacy. His passing was mourned quietly by family and friends, without the media spectacle that often accompanies celebrity deaths. 4. Robert Bobby Williams, the youngest child. Robert Bobby Williams, the youngest child of Andy Williams and Claudine Longet, was born in 1969. Unlike his older siblings, Bobby grew up during the later years of his parents' marriage, a time when tensions between Andy and Claudine were already beginning to surface. His early life unfolded in the shadow of both his father's immense fame and his mother's eventual scandal, but Bobby responded to these pressures in the same way as his brother Christian, by retreating from the spotlight rather than chasing it. From the beginning, Bobby seemed uninterested in show business. While his sister Noel experimented with modeling and his brother Christian built a life in Costa Rica, Bobby gravitated toward a lifestyle centered on nature, adventure, and personal freedom. Friends and those who knew him described him as athletic, outdoorsy, and happiest when far from the glitz of Hollywood. Surfing, travel, and outdoor pursuits became his passions, reflecting his determination to build an identity completely separate from the Williams name. Unlike many children of celebrities, Bobby avoided both the temptations and pitfalls of fame. He never pursued a career in acting, music, or modeling. Instead, he built a low-profile life, occasionally attending family gatherings or events honoring his father, but generally remaining invisible to the public eye. In an era when many celebrity children sought to capitalize on their parents' names, Bobby did the opposite, deliberately choosing a life of anonymity. When Andy Williams passed away in 2012, Bobby briefly stepped into view during memorial services and public tributes. He, along with his siblings, was present to honor his father's memory. Observers noted his resemblance to Andy, but beyond that, Bobby gave little away. He offered no interviews, published no memoirs, and made no attempt to attach himself to his father's legacy in a commercial way. His decision to stay quiet mirrored Christian's approach, suggesting that both younger brothers valued privacy over publicity. Today, little is publicly known about Bobby Williams. Reports suggest that he has continued to live a life centered on personal pursuits, family, and outdoor activity. He is not active in entertainment or business circles tied to his father's name. For fans of Andy Williams, this makes Bobby something of a mystery, a figure defined not by what he has done publicly, but by his choice to live privately.